I'll try to make a series on the disassembly, CLAing and reassembly of a FED2 camera, and I'll try to explain as much as possible on the way all the systems, if one can call them that, the way they work and the way they interact with each other. Alright, so first thing would be to remove the top plate. We have one color wing here, and one on the back, one of those has a lens in it. Then you have the white knob, it has a screw that you color. Please try to use the right screwdriver, and if some screwdriver don't fit, try to adjust this. For instance, this one is adjusted, the figure Russian screws. The one does not lock, does not unscrew easily, unforce it, but use some weight and press on the gun, so it looks. Alright, then you have 3 screws in the full shoe, and these screws go all the way to the top plate. Some cameras also have machines and also maybe pressure. This one doesn't have any. That's not so. Alright, I think we need to do some force. This is not something I like. And also protect these screens. One, two, here. And the one very short is actually for the horizontal adjustment of the finger. The last thing is this. This is the responsible for the work we do. Okay, now, just it. From the right side now. And it out, leaving this in place. Now, for reassembly, the cover comes like this. Now, so this goes inside. Okay, so this is the mechanism of the camera as it stands after taking the top plate apart. Not very much to see. The order of operations, or the way the camera transmits the motion from the winding knob to the shutter curtains, is through this set of toothed gears. Okay, so when advancing the film, the motion goes through the film spindle, gear 1, gear 2, and then the gear attached to the sprockets. And then it's transmitted by this linkage, these two little pins, that one pin pushes the other, okay, through this gear, another gear beneath this cap, and then to the main drum. The gear that connects this one to the drum is actually a restricting gear, so it only allows movement within a certain arc of a circle. Let's see if this is a bit too thick. Maybe this one. Yep, this one. this is the restricting gear. It has two holes, and beneath it there's a channel that connects the two holes. So the motion is possible between one hole and the other through that channel, because inside the channel sits this little pivot, this little point. Okay, so after the film has been wound and the shutter cocked, in order to release, you of course push the button. When you do that, a pin that goes through the sprockets will push this part down, and the moment these two little pins separate, so that when they are no longer touching each other, the shutter becomes freed from that latch that keeps it still. Now, so that's the way the motion transfers from one point to the other. This is the flash sink that goes up to here, and this is attached to the shutter, and it has a contact beneath it. So when you are pushing this button, this piece will touch that one, this will spin, and then it will touch it again, I think. I don't really know how this works for now. It's the first time I'm seeing this system. I've worked on feds before, but they all had, this is a earlier model, they all had the PC port up here, not here, so the system is a bit different. Alright. Now, in order to take the film advance mechanism off, you have to unscrew that brake and remove this part. It has one big screw, just take it out. This one comes off. And this is the piece that keeps the shutter in place, in its cocked position. And this is the end of that spring that goes through this little hole, but it goes, it enters the hole from beneath, like this. And now this one comes out, and it has a stack of shims beneath it, and there are quite a lot of shims. So each camera has a different way of stacking things that should be noted. Okay, and this one was on top of them, I think. Something like this. Alright, and if you really want, you can take this bit off, 3 screws, it comes off, nothing more to it. Alright. This was part 1. We'll continue with the disassembly. in order to take this one out, I would have to actually pull the shutter crate outside of the body of the camera, so that's not the first thing to do. Probably next thing will be to take apart the diopter adjuster, the prism, this prism, the rangefinder cam, and pretty much that's it, except for the speed selector that will be removed just before taking the crate out. I'm adding a little bit on how the flash sync works. So we have this piece that's connected to the drum, and we have this elastic spring, metal spring, that's connected to the port, to the PC port. So I am cocking the shutter is set on B, and I'm releasing the shutter. Okay, so this is connected to the first curtain. When the first curtain clears the gate, or better said, by the time the first curtain clears the gate, this metal piece will have turned counterclockwise until its pin that's beneath is touching the spring. When this happens, the flash gun is fired. Okay, one more thing. Normally, when I take my finger off the sprockets, it should release, right? Because there's nothing keeping it in place. The little locking cam is out of the camera. But on this one, it barely moves. Because all the gears here in the transport area, they are filled with dried grease and dust and whatnot. So that's why I feel it's very important, especially in these old Soviet cameras, that they are stripped apart, every little piece, because there aren't so many pieces anyway. Everything must be cleaned, polished and lubricated. And even so, it might not work as according to its specifications. I don't think they will ever make a 1/500th of a second, because all the springs are old. Okay, but at least they have a chance of being somewhat decent.